Hey guys, Mwaiseni, welcome back to Chit Chat with Chip. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the content, and I also hope that you like what it is I talk about, which is money, which is sewing, lifestyle, and career as well. So for those who don't know, obviously I am a locum, and in this video I want to talk about the pension options that you have as a locum or as somebody who is self-employed. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure that you share, because I think pensions is a really important subject that we all need to be talking about or thinking about at some point in our lives, especially some of us approaching 30. Like, it's come to a point where these are things that I'm really thinking about my future. I don't want to work for the rest of my life. How can I get an income before I'm like 60, 70, you know? Like, I don't want to work for the rest of my life as part of this financial independence journey. So yeah, let's talk pensions. So when I was deciding to go locum, pensions is one of the things that I really looked at, because it was important for me to have a pension, because I knew that potentially my income was going to be slightly higher. So I thought, okay, if my income is higher, I definitely want some of that to go into a pension, because my outgoings shouldn't really increase too much. So I want as much of it to go into my pension, because I know it's tax-free. It gives me better benefits in the future, because I want a life when I'm older where it's not stressful, I'm not struggling to make ends meet, and I've got an income coming in from a pension that I've built up potentially, but also from other sources of income that I am working on. But pension was one of the things I looked at, and I kind of thought that a pension wasn't going to be available to me, because I was just about to leave a really good pension scheme, which was the Nhs Pension Scheme, in which is obviously a workplace pension, which they also match or double your pension contribution. So it was a really good pension scheme. But going into locuming and not actually working directly or being employed directly by the National Health Service, I wasn't most likely going to be able to contribute to it. So I had to look at my other options, and I kind of thought that as a locum you won't be able to pay into your pension. But let me stop you there, because you can actually pay into a pension, so it's not a problem. So when you go into a locum, you either are paid through an umbrella company, you either are paid through pay as you earn, or it used to be limited companies as well. So there is options. But when you choose to work with an umbrella company, most likely that umbrella company will have a pension scheme in place with a chosen pension provider. So currently there's a lot of pension providers out there. So there is Nest, there is Smart Pensions, there is the People's Pensions, there is the Options Pensions, which umbrella companies will choose one of these pension providers to act as their workplace pension provider. So they do have to actually put people into a pension scheme because the government has said so, because there's a lot of people out there who are going into retirement but not actually having sufficient pensions when they're older. So I think a rule came in a few years back where everybody who is in a place of employment will have to be auto-enrolled into a pension scheme depending on certain circumstances. So I think it had to be the age of 22, earning over £10,000, etc. So there is criteria that you have to meet, but a lot of people do meet that criteria. So a lot of the times when you're in employment, you are auto-enrolled into a pension scheme, which I think is a good idea. There is the option to obviously opt out of it, but if you can stay in it, it's probably best to stay in it if you are really thinking about your future. But yeah, so like I said, an umbrella company will have a pension scheme that they are enrolled into. So currently I am enrolled into the Nest pension with my umbrella company. So I pay a percentage and they also pay a percentage. But as a locum, we all know it's coming out your assignment rate, but that's a conversation for another day. But yes, I am enrolled into a pension scheme. It is a workplace pension, but there is nothing stopping you as a locum to actually have your own private pension as well. We're getting older, things are getting more expensive. We don't know what life is going to be like. We don't know what kind of comfortability that we do. If you want to be comfortable when you're older, then it's probably important to look into having a pension, because that'll be an income that you'll have. So like I said, I'm currently with Nest, and I pay a percentage of my wages every single week into my pension. I also have other options, but let's just go into the options that you do have as somebody who is locuming or somebody who is self-employed. And I think if you're self-employed, it's very important to have a look at pensions, because nobody's going to be auto-enrolling you into a pension. It's something that you have to look for yourself, but you also don't have the benefits of employer contribution. So you have to look at your pension options and decide what is best for you. So the options that we have as self-employed people or as a locum is, obviously if you're locum, like I said, there should be a work workplace pension with your umbrella company or with your agency that you're working with. And if you are under the umbrella of self-employed, then there's options that you can look at, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Your agency will enroll you into a pension within the first 3 months or the first 12 weeks of working with an umbrella company or with your agency. They will auto enroll you, but they'll give you that grace period to opt out if you want to. So that is something to think about. So the options that you have is the workplace pension. You can also have a personal pension, which you go ahead and set up for yourself. When it comes to choosing pensions, be careful because obviously there is charges. So what you want to do at the end of it is to take as much of your contributions that you put in as possible. So look at fees, look at the annual charges that they will give you or they will charge you for having a pension. So that is stuff that you want to look at, and obviously the lower the better, because you will end up taking more of your pension home than if your charges are really, really high. Other options that you have are somebody who is self-employed or somebody that wants to add on to their workplace pension, but outside of it is having a personal pension in terms of a SIP, which is a self-invested personal pension. And with a SIP or with all your pensions, you do have a maximum allowance of £40,000 a year across all your pensions. Now, a lot of people won't actually be able to max that out, but some people might be able to. But just remember that with all your pensions, in 1 year, there is a maximum of £40,000 a year that you can put into it, so that it's tax-free and you're not paying tax on anything more than £40,000. A self-invested personal pension is a personal pension that allows you to choose the investment. So a lot of people don't actually know that your pensions are actually invested in the stock market with whoever you hold your pension with. So if it's a workplace pension, if it's a personal pension, whatever pension you have, it's actually invested in the stock market. So even though you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to invest, I don't know how to do this, you are already invested in the stock market. If you're paying into a pension, your money is working some way, somehow, while you're paying into it. It might be worth looking into what your pension is actually invested in, if that's an option that you have. I know that with some workplace pensions, you can choose, if you have an account with them, you can choose what funds you invest in. But a lot of the times with, for example, the NHS pension, you won't be able to choose your funds, but it is invested in the stock market. So that's something to know. You're already investing if you're paying into a pension, but you can obviously look at outside options. So as I was talking about the SIP, you choose what funds you want to invest in. It gives you the freedom to choose whatever you want to invest in. But of course, with SIPs, they will have charges, and also there's probably a little bit more risk involved with it because you are choosing your own investments and somebody isn't choosing them for you, although there is the option to pay someone to choose your investments for you. That obviously is a little bit more expensive and it's obviously a little bit more risky. So SIPs are for people that, you know, are well versed in investing and the risks that come with investing. So that's something to think about if you want to go down that route. There is a lot of providers that are able to offer you SIPs. So all the big investment providers or investment companies such as Vanguard, Hargreaves Lansdown, AJ Bell also have the option to have a SIP, but there's also other providers that you can look at. But one of the things that you want to be looking at is the charges that come with holding a SIP. And also you need to look at if a SIP is actually the best option for you, or if you should go with government-backed pension providers such as Nest or Options. Obviously SIPs are obviously government-backed too, because you're able to claim back tax relief and all of that. But have a look at your other options such as your Nest pensions or your Options pensions or Smart pensions, but a lot of them tend to be workplace pensions. So whether you as an individual can open a pension with them is something that you have to look into. If you're really not sure about your options, I would speak to a financial advisor, somebody to help you decide what is best for you and for your circumstances. But I think that's something that's really, really important. Knowing the best option for you in terms of what pension you're going to have is really, really important. Decide what's best for your circumstances, how much you can put in, how much you can pay in, and what your tax benefits could be. There is other options as well, such as lifetime ISAs. So currently, the state pension age for me is 68 years old. 68 years old. But I know that with personal pensions and some private pensions, you are able to access some of those pensions at the age of 55, which of course within the next few years that might change. So say a 55-year-old now, they might be able to access it at 57 in a few years time. So the age does change, and it does change it might change by the time you're able to access your pension. But currently I am able to access my state pension at 68, or also my NHS pension at 68, but I can also, if I have a private pension or my Nhs pension, for example, I can access that at 65. But you are able to choose when you want to access your money, either at 55 or a little bit later. The longer you give your pension time to grow, the more income you will have when you actually reach retirement age. So if you're 30 and you're thinking of retiring at 55, that gives you 25 years until you retire. But if you leave it till 65, that gives you an extra 10 years, so 35 years in order for your investments to grow. So the longer you leave your pension, the better, but also the earlier you start, the better it is for you. So if you are thinking about starting a pension, then it's obviously best to do it as soon as possible. Obviously, if you're in a workplace pension, you have the benefits of your employer contributions, and if you are self-employed or you are a locum, you should have the option to pay more into your pension. You can actually contribute more in order to maximize how much you can get when you reach retirement age, because as we all know right now, state pension isn't actually enough to really cover people's living expenses in older life, in elderly life. So it's currently set to something like £175, which if you're still paying off a mortgage at that time, hopefully we won't be, but if you're still paying off a mortgage at the age of 65, 68, £100 a week or £175 a week is not going to cover it. And in the future, it's not guaranteed that you will get that state pension, depending how long you've actually paid into it, and things in the future might change where they could take it away, who knows. So it's important to have other ways for you to save for your pension. And if that's something that you're thinking about, I will put some links down below that will direct you to places that you can get some really good information to help you make informed decisions, or potentially people, financial advisors that you can try and contact in order to talk about your circumstances, look at your options. And if you're already in a workplace pension, you might have the opportunity to actually find out what's in your pension, to look at your forecast and potentially be able to add more to it if you need to, in order to get the best outcome for you, to give your pension the best chance to grow even more, depending on what it is invested in. But if you are in your, like, even in your early 20s, look at your pensions. But definitely if you're going into your 30s, you want to be looking at how much time you can give your pension the best chance and time to grow. So that is options to look at. I mean, I most likely forgot something in this video, but if there's anything that you can let me know about pensions, please jot it down in the comments below. And if there's anything I've missed, I might cover it in another video, or I will put it in the comments down below. But I hope you guys are looking at your financial futures, deciding what's best for you, so we can all live a comfortable life, because we don't want to be stressing in our 50s, we don't want to be stressing in our 60s. We would at that point have done our time. So let's try and live a comfortable, healthy, happy life, you know. So look at your pensions and look at how you can maximize your income in elder life. Some people do it a lot younger than that, and that's great. But yes, look at your pension options, and just remember that as a locum, you do have the options of a pension, and you're not going to be stuck without having a pension if that's something that you really want to have. But until my next video, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was helpful in some way, and yeah, see you guys in my next video.